What's up guys, it's your host here, Spartanic Arts DxD, back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Wanted Revenge Part 2. Let's try to hit 800 to 700 likes for this video, and if you guys want to know exactly when I upload, my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. Now I am a little bit sick, so that's why I haven't posted consistently again, even though it's only been like 2 days since I uploaded, so I guess bear with me. But like, I'm kind of tired, and plus I've been doing some things, I've been planning out some content, I've been doing things like that, I've been trying to think about the Issei Godslayer story. So yeah, I'm also gonna do a what if Issei discovered the boosted gear earlier, discovered his balance breaker early, or something along those lines, along with what if he was the white and red dragon emperor, or what if Issei was overpowered is what I would like to call it. I might give him 3 dragons, who knows. So, once again, thanks for all the support. We hit 26,000 subscribers. If you guys want to see another stream, like the other stream, that would be cool. Just tell me if you want it or not. I'll completely understand in the comments. I am a little bit sick right now, so again, bear with me. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Chapter 3, More Time to Kill. It was a bit into October, as so far, Issei was continuing on his warpath, with leaving him smashed and tore his way through a good number of stray exorcists to get next speed on his next target, which was a fallen angel by the name of Donaseek, to which either he'd get the answers from or his life was forfeit, because he wasn't going to waste any time beating around the bush, since either he got his answers or he'd cave anyone who got in his way skulls in, for he was dead set on getting what he sought. Yet, if there's one thing besides his revenge that was on Issei's mind, it was the fact that he couldn't help but feel that there were eyes on him wherever he went, something of which was starting to get to him, considering that he had a suspicion that there would be people watching him with all that he's been doing to get stronger so that he could kill Rainier, yet it didn't detract from the feeling of unease he had wherever he went. October 8th, 2016, 8:40 p.m., Ko-Town. It was 20 minutes till 9, as Issei was walking through a tree line in one of the parks in town, for he knew that Donaseek was closing in on him for an ambush, yet the young revenant was composed and ready as the warhammer ready to strike out against the fallen angel. "Come and get me already, you black-winged son of a bitch," Issei said under his breath, as he walked through the park with his hand on his warhammer. And right on schedule, as he actually waited longer than what he thought, Issei thought, as he on a reflex smashed apart the sapphire-colored light spear into half fist-sized shards. "So you're the one that killed Millet. The one that Rainier failed to deal with," Donaseek spoke, as he flew down to see Issei. "Yeah, and I've got one question for you, so either answer it, or things go south very quickly," Issei told Donaseek, to what his 2 options were. "I've got a better idea. Instead, I kill you and finish what was started, since you began making too much noise that's caused us to stay in place for far longer than what I wanted. So time for you to die again, boy," Donaseek told him as Issei sighed. "Well, at least I gave you a chance to give me what I wanted, but at least I get a step closer to killing Rainier," Issei thought to himself, as he used his warhammer like a baseball bat and smashed it into pieces. That in mind, Issei went on the offensive, with him charging after a freight train as Donaseek launched another light spear that Issei jumped over and went over his hand to swing to try and crush the fallen angel's skull, only for Donaseek to take flight and evade the attack as he began to charge up another light spear. When Issei saw this, he decided to immediately take action by leaping into the air and grabbing Donaseek's leg and taking a cheap shot, evident by the low, guttural groan that escaped his mouth from being hit in the dick as he began to falter to the ground, with Issei focusing the neurotic energy within in punching Donaseek hard in the gut, causing his mark to appear in the form of semi-solid pitch-black smoke that withered around him, before descending back to the ground as both tumbled onto the concrete, for Issei and Donaseek soon engaged in a bout of melee combat, with Donaseek now being on the defensive from Issei, with the revenant raining down blows like a fierce avalanche steadily rushing towards him in his advance to break his body. For Donaseek eventually overextended, causing Issei to take advantage of his opening and smash his warhammer into Donaseek's lower ribs, breaking 3 of them in the process, with the fallen angel having felt both neurotic energy tear into him in the in the psychic energy hit him in his mind in his form of disorienting screams, with Issei following it up with then breaking Donaseek's nose and sending him face first into the dirt as the fallen angel staggered back up from the blows that he felt like getting hit by a semi-truck as he summoned forth another light spirit to attack the young revenant. You know, this could have gone so much better for you, but instead you just had to go and act like a prideful numbnuts, Issei spoke, as Donaseek quickly threw a light spear, as hard as and strong as he could to make sure enough the heaty chunk of Issei's face. Quit talking too big for your britches, kid, since now I've got you where I want you, so now I can finish what Rainier failed to do. Since she always was sloppy with her kills, Donaseek spoke, as threw another on that Issei caught, although it burned and took off some flesh of his hand. First off, that hurt more than what I thought, so congrats on that standard. And secondly, you really did think that something like these would kill me that easily. Because I've been impaled, incinerated, hit with a truck, and blown up, all within the span of a month. Therefore, if you're trying to kill me, step up your A-game, Issei responded as he crushed the light spear and left mere caustic burns on his right hand, and while the tendons from his severed jaw began to snap together as his face been shorn almost to deep muscle. Fine then, but unlike Rainier, I always make sure my enemies stay dead, so this time you won't get a second chance, Donaseek swore, as Issei's face now had recovered most of the soft muscles as the tendons were in his jaw were repairing. Then bring it then, Issei responded. With that, Issei rushed after Donaseek once again. The cool autumn air stung at his still healing face, with smashing it into his leg to trip him up off his feet. For he followed this by smashing the warhammer into his stomach, causing the ground beneath to crack apart from the sheer force behind it. For Issei smashed it into his stomach once again. This time it was enough force to almost have Donaseek's kidney and large intestine to rupture from the powerful force behind Issei's blow. That had Donaseek scrambling to get up, to do so as he thrust the light spear into Issei's left eye to partially blind him. Yet with his good eye, he saw Donaseek was going into the air, but Issei wouldn't allow it, as bounded off into the air and caught the fallen angel by the left leg and slammed him back down to earth, with Donaseek trying to get aerial advantage once again, but was stopped when Issei grasped his left wing in vice grip and smashed it with his warhammer, with the fallen angel soon letting out a bellow of pain when the second hit broke some of the bones in the wing, ruining the appendage that sagged with the neurotic energies are into it like a virus. With Donaseek having to back away from his now broken wing that hung limply at his side, permanently preventing him from taking to the skies again, while he summoned forth another light spear to his side in order to defend himself against the revenant that was coming towards him, was ready to smash his head in like a pumpkin. For Issei soon charged after him, and launching a series of overhand swings against him, with Donaseek having to keep constant focus on maintaining his light spear. For each hit sent a cascade of cracks across its surface that made it hard to keep going in Issei's relentless assault. Just die already, because why bother living? Since soon enough you'll be joining your other winged friends in unmarked grave, Issei taunted as he smashed into Donaseek once again, this time nearly breaking the light spear in half. I will never surrender to some pissant like you, as I'd rather die and admit defeat, Donaseek responded as he had to block a shot to his knees. Well, don't worry, as you'll soon be a dead man soon enough, Issei promised him as he continued the assault. That in mind, Issei brought his warhammer down with as much force as he could, gather with the result being that the light spear shattered like glass, leaving him wide open for Issei to smack him with the warhammer into his jaw, breaking the bones in lower jaw before following it up with another baseball swing. Quite literally took his nose off, with his blood becoming more of rotting crimson coloration as the flesh around it showed mere signs of decay as he was taken back from the lack of nose. Yet it didn't stop Issei from coming into another the hit that smacked into his rib cage, causing the rib to snap and nearly puncture a lung. For Donaseek's breath hitched from injury as he wheezed in pain, yet his pride refused to let him back down and summoned another light spear. Yet as he did so, Issei had already hit him right in the in the right thigh with everything he had, obliterating his femur as he was forced to a knee as shards of his bone stuck out of his thigh, with him trying to stand up once again, but Issei was using his warhammer like a golf club and swung it into his stomach, and this time rupturing his kidney and stomach, causing his insides to soon go septic. For he was sent tumbling back 15 feet as Issei came towards him, dragging his warhammer behind him. With Donaseek in the last attempt to kill Issei, charged with a life spear to twice its normal output and launched it at Issei, with using his great strength to smash downwards and crush the construct of light before heading towards Donaseek, who tried to stand up. Yet he was stopped by Issei, who kicked him in the face, stomped on his throat, to which crushed his windpipe. As Issei stood over him and brought his warhammer down to his face, continued to do so until it resembled a crushed Gallagher watermelon. Well, that takes care of that. As one of the less fallen angels to worry about, Issei spoke as he searched over Donaseek's corpse to see if there's anything of value on him. Yes, as with 2 of her compatriots dead, this will surely draw out her into the open. For if it doesn't get her to show herself, I don't know what will, Drake spoke as Issei took the fedora. He may not have anything that I can really use, but I'll take this as a souvenir, Issei said, dragging the corpse away to find a place to bury it. Now then, time to find someone to where to put his body at, Issei thought to himself. Yet unknown to him, there was Rias and her Parage, who watched the event unfold with the Gremory Harris, knew that she could get to him. The next day, Co-Academy, 9:45 a.m., October 9th, 2015. It was right before second period as Sona saw Rias, who looked as the red hair was walking past her, with her wondering what caused the usually confident Harris to be so flustered with her clothes, disevolented as her reddened face that was matched with her drowsy appearance of her more embarrassed look she had on her face. What happened that you're so late, Rias? Sona questioned as to why she was so late. I tried my plan to get Issei into my Parage, and it backfired on me greatly, Rias responded in dejection of her foolproof plan. Well, what was your plan that tried to convince him? Sona asked as he whispered in her ear as soon as Sona became red-faced. Why am I not surprised you do that, Rias? Of all things you do, you choose that. But my question is, what happened that caused you to be so late? Sona wondered what happened as Rias grew more red-faced. Apparently, Issei has more of a mean streak in him than what I thought, since it didn't end well for me once he found me in his house. In fact, it's the reason I'm so late, Rias said, her face flushed red. What exactly did he do to you? Sona questioned to what Issei did. He strung me up ho-tagged, naked in one of the parks at a tree, and duct taped my clothes to a tree a few yards away. There was also the fact that he had this done to me with a ball gap put in my mouth, Rias informed her as Sona double take. Well, I admit what you did was trying to seduce him was quite an idiotic move on your part, since you're lucky that nothing seriously horrible happened to you. However, I think that what had happened to you today should serve as an example that you should put your plans through better before acting, since a lot worse could have happened to you, Sona told her, since her plan could have backfired immensely, which is why she should be so thankful. Because Sona knew that in doing something like this, what Rias had attempted, anything could have happened, since luckily it seemed that out of a perverted trio, Issei had the most self-control, which was saying something due to the amount of the perverse lust he had in himself. Still, I wonder if this changes your trying to get Issei into your Parage. Sona wondered if this changed anything. Oh no, not at all. As granted this was a momentary setback to my getting him to have him in my Parage. But rest assured, Sona, I will get him into my Parage soon enough. Rias swore as while she was just a temporary setback, she knew that she would have Issei. Well, I wish you the best, since I will not give him up on setting him into my side, since he's been showing so much potential to be a great form of both our sources have reported to us. Sona spoke with a smile since she's gotten consistent reports that that Issei only continued to grow, because as I've stated, Rias, while I do feel for you in your situation with Riser, I won't simply wait around for you to get him first, because he's just too strong by himself. But also, he has something more within him than he's letting on, or knows about, and I will not let something like that go to waste, Sona spoke, since she refused to let power and potential like that go to waste. Don't think you've got this in the bag, Sona, but I refuse to give up, since he's not only strong, but he's someone that I would definitely enjoy spoiling, Rias spoke, since despite the incident, wouldn't mind having him into her barrage. If somehow you'd get him into your barrage, then I would advise keeping Akano away from him, since I wouldn't trust her around him, because while she makes for a very good adept queen, she also does need to learn to keep her sadism under control, Sona responded, as while she did think highly of Akano, the black-haired hybrid needed to keep her sadism under control. Oh, don't worry, I'm sure things will work out, since I'm having to do now is hold out until I can have him with this spring. Then Riser won't stand any shadow of a chance with him on my side, Rias spoke, and having supreme confidence that Issei on her side, her chances of winning would be greater. Rias, I'd rather you not put all your eggs in one handbasket, because the thing is, there's always a possibility that he will turn you down, which is why you need to be prepared for that event when it happens. For his refusal to be in your barrage, well, something that can happen that you need to prepare for, Sona told Rias of the solemn fact. Because if there was something that was constantly staring Rias in the face that she tried to push back of her mind, it was the fact that Issei would turn her down her offer. Since that was a constant that although Rias wouldn't publicly show, it made her very nervous and almost fearful in that regard. As I've said, I've got it covered, Sona, so there's no need to worry. As I know he'll make a fine addition to my barrage, Rias spoke with an assured sense of confidence in her voice. If you say so, Rias, but I'm telling you, this firsthand that it may not be as easy as you think, Sona told her. Rias could only smile. Like I said, Sona, I've got everything under control, Rias replied, sure that she'd get him into her barrage. 2 days later, October 11th, 2016, 9:45 p.m., Kotown. It was 9:45 as Saji and Tsubaki were done doing surveillance on Issei as they were watching him finish off a group of stray exorcists, which would suffice to making Saji a bit uneasy at the fact that smashing them apart like they were cheap pottery. I still can't believe that Issei's like this, Saji spoke in a shock as he watched Issei stomp on someone's windpipe to where it was flattened. Yeah. It's if it's most unearing to see someone like him commit such ultra-violence, Tsubaki stated as Issei was busy caving in a redhead one's skull. Oh man, I think I'm gonna be sick, since no one's spine should bend that way, Saji spoke, dry heaving as Issei folded one of them into a cube pretzel. As how the hell have we been missing him like this? Since I'm pretty sure we would have seen this coming, or at least in him, Saji borderline exclaimed as Issei punched a hole through someone's throat. Be quiet, Saji. Do you want him to see us? Tsubaki told him. I'm sorry if seeing him go through people like this Friday the 13th movie makes me a bit on edge. Saji spoke before the sounds of violence soon stopped. Wait a minute, Saji, did you hear that? Tsubaki questioned as she heard rapidly approaching footsteps. Yeah, let's get out of here now, Saji suggested as they spread their wings and fly about 20 feet into the air. Y'all ain't going anywhere, Issei shouted, grabbing both of their legs and slamming them into nearby trees. So, Ddraig, are these some of the people who have been watching me ever since I turned, Issei, with rhythm within himself. Yeah. As while they are still more of these are two definitely some of the devils that have been watching you as of late, Ddraig confirmed as Issei grinned. Great to hear. Since I knew I was being watched by people as you do how much it drives someone crazy to have their eyes always watching him. Because it makes a man lose a couple of nights of sleep that I'm not happy about. So prepare to have your bones crushed, Issei spoke as he rushed after them on a cloudy night with Warhammer in his hand. With that in mind, Saji and Tsubaki were first to confront Issei, who clotheslined both of them, knocking the subsequent air out of them as they were sent tumbling away, with both of them automatically calling off the Rook trait. For Tsubaki immediately dashed at Issei as she slashed him across the face and went in for a stab at his legs to at least immobilize him. Yet Issei caught in the hand, brought her in for a hard knee to her gut, and had her doubling over before smacking her in the stomach, causing her to tumble away from him. For he went after her with another swing of said Warhammer, as he was struggling to withstand the blows be unleashed onto her, as he came at her like a stampede of rhinos, unrelenting and ever advancing as he kept her going on her back foot, as he pounded on her with his Warhammer. with him breaking through her guard and smashing into her stomach that once again knocked the wind out of her, while the sound of disoriented screams wailed in her head that having to follow up with a baseball swing to her skull, knocking her back 15 feet, with the Citrus Queen landing with her head ringing like a twisted church bell as she loomed towards while she staggered to get back up, for he would have gone in another swing when he closed the distance towards her. Yet he was stopped when he felt something wrap around his arm that could be pulsing sky blue tendrils wrapped around his right arm, as Sanji was doing his best to hold him back, so Issei, deciding to get him to stop, instead leapt after him, cracked him across the mouth with his warhammer, causing 5 teeth to be knocked out. Did anyone get the number of that bust? Sanji wondered, as his mouth puked with pain as he spat out a small glob of blood. Well, what can you get the number of my foot to your throat? Issei. Well, what can you get the number of is to my foot to your throat? Issei spoke as he planted his left foot in Sanji's throat and the other in his arm that used the absorption line. Now hold still, since this will only hurt for a second, Issei added as he began to bring down his warhammer when he felt something go through his chest. You will not kill him this night. That much I swear, Tsubaki promises. Issei looked down to see Nagmeta blade pierce several inches out of his sternum. Besides, we're far from getting killed by you, Saji spoke as he pushed himself off Issei. Tell me something. Did you really think this would stop me? Because I've been impaled a good number of times during this past month. So one thing I learned, that if you do such a thing, you should aim for at least something near vital. But then again, I'm just winding up, which means I should take this seriously, Issei spoke as he grasped the blade. And to the shock of both of them, he began pushing out the blade despite the effort. Tsubaki keep it planted in him until, with a wet sound that sounded like an old jello being ran over, as he soon pushed it all the way out, before he turned back towards her and hit her in the chest with one of her ribs, whirling back into the air in a baseball swing from his warhammer and breaking her nose. Saji, going in with his absorption line tendrils, once again tried to restrain Issei, only for Issei to grasp the tendrils and roughly yank Saji towards him. As he swung his warhammer at Saji's leg with as much force as he could muster in that short space of time, with him subsequently breaking his left leg, causing him to fall to the ground, clutching his wounded leg in pain, with him then putting Saji out of the fight by swinging his warhammer onto his sternum so hard that it caused Saji's breath to hitch at the near shattering of his sternum and breaking 2 of his ribs, for the pawn took short labored breaths as he struggled to take air into his lungs. Issei then activated his twice critical in wanting to end this quickly, and leapt after her as fast as he could, with him crashing to the ground with such force to it that it cracked the shaft of her retina. As he used this brief moment of distraction to crack her in the gut with twice the subsequent blows, with her having tried to focus enough to summon her mirror Alice, but the crack to her skull that gave her a definite concussion took her out of the fight as she fell to the ground in a tremendous deal of pain as black spots danced in her vision. Huh, so you guys are devils then. Well, seeing as you guys have a master and that killing you would get in the way of what I'm doing, you guys have a master, and all of that killing you would get in the way of what I'm doing, Issei stated, as he knew that killing them would draw more attention to him than he wants. So here's what's going to happen. You two are going to go tell your boss to stop watching me because it's freaking me the hell out, and I can't have that at all. Because if you don't, then I'm going to find you and everyone you're associated with and make sure to put you all in a wheelchair. Are we completely clear? Issei told them. Yes, Tsubaki spoke as her concussion was killing her. Good. Then take this and give it to your friend, since I don't know his name, but probably he won't make it through all night without it. But still, remember this, that if you don't tell your boss to stop watching me and your people away from me, then I will do far worse to you and your friends. After all, I'll just ask everything I've killed since I've made my presence felt, Issei spoke before leaping into the night. Sona, I hope that after this you realize that we may be in over our heads, Tsubaki thought, going over to Saji to give him a healing potion that was tossed to her earlier, and began going over to Saji. Kyoto Residence, 2:56 a.m., 5 hours later, October 12th, 2016. It was 4 minutes till 3 in the morning as Issei couldn't sleep, since with everything that's been going on through his mind, he couldn't help but lie awake, something that Ddraig noticed in his revenant of his partner. Is there something that's bothering you, Issei? Ddraig questioned. Yeah, actually, I was wondering something that may sound a bit weird to ask of you, Issei answered, as his restless mind refusing to allow him sleep. What is it that you want to ask me? Ddraig asked of the young revenant. I'm just wondering, is there anyone or anything that you would want vengeance against? Since I imagine that throughout the countless years you've had a lot of people that have crossed you. Issei wondered, as if Ddraig had anyone he wanted vengeance against. That does sound a bit weird when you think about it. But if you must know, there's no one in particular who throughout all my partners I've wanted vengeance against, since he's been a thorn in the side of not just myself, but every partner I've had, Ddraig answered, Issei in spiteful memory of his counterpart. Well, who is he? Issei asked, as who the mysterious person was. It is my counterpart and your eternal enemy, the White Dragon Emperor, for he's been a complete blight for centuries, Ddraig replied with the vitalic hate of a white dragon. As his name is Albion, and like the other white dragons, he's mainly predatory instincts, fueled by a desire to be the apex predator of all. For while he holds a slight deal of more intellect than others of his kinds, he's still a vengeful predator that guided him by instinct and malicious desire to remain one of the strongest dragons there are. Ddraig spoke, remembering Albion's borderline primal way of things and his predatory outlook on things, for as long as Ddraig could remember. About the vanishing dragon, he was the dragon that, while of a despend of intelligence, was guided by such primal instincts and predatory will needed to prove his strength, for he remembered him so that while they had physical bodies, he gave Ddraig many scars to remember him by, for he was greatly known for his predatory ferocity in combat and primal refusal to go down. Is he that much of a bastard? Issei questioned, the dragon of domination. Yes, as he was the instigator for a number of our battles, for he was someone that once he was at the top would not allow for someone to oppose him in all that he claimed as his, which is why when I was coming up the same as him, he did not take lightly to me at all. Ddraig spoke bitterly since he remembered a lot of the times they fought as he was forced to be the defender. Well, is there anything that I can expect from his partners? Because I'd like to know to have some form of idea of what I'm up against. Issei wondered as to what exactly he should be experiencing from them. Just know that he will most likely be partnered up with a battle maniac, since his lust for battle and need to cement himself as the apex predator. Since it showed in the host he's taken, such as Attila in the Hun, Genghis Khan, and Ivan the Terrible as examples, Ddraig noted, as Albion and his hosts always favored conquerors and iron tyrants. Huh, that makes sense, I guess. I'll have my work cut out for me then. Yet, then again, how far I've come within just a month. After all, I've been slaying monsters and everything in between and taken out 2 fallen angels. So I'd like to think that I've got a fair chance of fighting against whoever this Albion guy is tagged onto. Issei spoke with his optimism in his voice that due time he'd be able to take on the vanishing dragon and maybe come out on top. I like the spears of yours and all that you'll come in handy in the battles to come against him, for he's nothing if tenacious like the people he chooses, Ddraig spoke with a slight chuckle as Issei's optimism. Besides, unlike him, I actually have a reason for wanting power, as besides my revenge, I just like doing what I've been for one simple purpose, Ddraig. Would you like to possibly know what it is? Issei asked the Red Dragon Emperor. Enlighten me, Ddraig replied. It's the fact that up till a month ago, besides wanting to feel some tits, which has upgraded itself to wanting to do more fucking, it is that all of the girls have finally given something that I didn't want as much as I think I needed. Issei spoke with a small smile on his face as he lay in bed. What would that be? Ddraig questioned as the teenage revenant. That would be that it's given a sense of agency, because that was something I've been missing, Ddraig. While I was always a pervert, since that's something I will not be ashamed of at all, I've been missing that will actually give me some agency and drive in my life, and what I've been doing so far to give me exactly that, Issei replied, his bright orange eyes having mirth and drive at finally having something found to give him agency in life. Because up until now, the only thing he had to keep going and motivate him was his perversion for women and their smoking hot bodies, yet that didn't seem to give him a sense of agency and drive he felt he was missing in his life. Which is why it wasn't up to mere weeks ago in a short time as a revenant that he found out that he was going and monster staying and hunting down people who wronged him, had given him the agency and drive to go out there and better himself as something greater and become more than just a run-of-the-mill pervert. That is something I can be more respectful. That is something that I can more respect, Issei, since it's far better motivation than just being a pervert, Ddraig spoke, finding it much more admirable goal than just being a pervert. Thank you, Ddraig. Since while I will always be a pervert, since that's something I can't really get rid of without taking away a massive part of who I am, yet what I'm doing now does feel nice since it's been far greater and more rewarding than what I've been doing. Issei spoke, finding that what he's been doing as a revenant was far more rewarding than when he once was a human. Well, still, you are making quite a lot of bit of progress, so any doubts of you not standing equal chance with Albion and whoever he is partnered with has been progressively and quickly put out of my mind, because the drive you've shown to become greater on your path to power and revenge has been quite something. Ddraig commented Issei, knowing full well that he would be able to take on the Vanishing Dragon in no time. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Ddraig, I appreciate it. Also, don't worry, once I'm done with Rainier, I'll get to working on this Vanishing Dragon guy, Issei replied, and let out a yawn. But one last thing before I do hit the sack, is it really something... Anyone really see what I look like? Because you'd think that they'd be freaked out by a bright orange-eyed, walking, talking corpse that can punch a hole through a guy like it's nothing. Issei wondered as to why no one was freaking out over his new appearance as a revenant. That would be thanks to me, because I've been using a small portion of my power to hide your physical appearance that comes with you being a revenant, because it wouldn't make any sense to having causing an uproar every time you go into public as you look now. But be aware that I've only had this whilst you're not in combat, due to the fact that you've had more of my power is being put into estimating you to fight, Ddraig spoke, since he felt that it would be necessary to have his partner look semi-human, therefore he used his power he could spare in his current state to make minor illusion of Issei. Thanks, Ddraig, I appreciate that, as that would make things a lot easier on my part. Well, anyways, I'm gonna hit the bed since I've got to wake up in 3 hours, so good night, Issei spoke as he felt tiredness overcome him. Good night to you as well, Issei, and I wish you well in avenging your death, Ddraig told the revenant, who began to close his bright orange eyes. Thanks, Ddraig, Issei responded before having him drift off asleep. So then, with Issei having taken out another fallen angel, and having a run of the two in Sona's Parage, things are shaping to get a good deal of intense for our revenant, so find out on how all of this shall come together in the new chapter of Red Dragon Revenge Revenant. And that is the end of Chapter 3, More Time to Kill. Chapter 4, My Cleric Cometh. It was the middle of October as Issei was feeling pretty good about himself due to him growing constantly in strength, since while he knew that he was by no means a powerhouse due to the fact that he wasn't able to one-shot ancient dragons and gods by now, but the way he wasn't going to complain as his progress was steady, and that was all that mattered to him. For he was getting one step closer to attaining his revenge on Rainier, and so far that was all that currently mattered to him. Still, one thing that Issei had now been setting his sights on after killing Rainier was going after the Vanishing Dragon, since after all he felt that it was necessary to set goals for himself and to give himself further agency and purpose as time went on. After all, better way to give himself agency and motivation than to work towards killing his newly found archenemy. So that in mind, Issei began to redouble his efforts to grow in strength for when time would come for him to face his counterpart. October 14th, 2016, 6:06 p.m., Koh-Town. It's 6 minutes after 6 in the afternoon as Issei was roaming around the streets of Koh looking for his next fight after having fought a Minotaur before bumping into someone on the way to fight the next target. Oh, sorry about that. Are you okay? Issei asked the young woman as he reached his hand out to help her. It's no problem, since I'm still new here to this place, since I've been looking around for somewhere to call home, since I've been all over the place for the last couple of years, the blonde woman told him as she rose to her feet. Really? And what for exactly? Since I don't mean to sound like an asshole about my own town, but why of all places have you come to Koh-Town? Since there are a lot better interesting places you could go to besides here, Issei asked, wondering why the blonde would come to here of all places. Well, I've came here since I'm looking for somewhere to be quiet from all the things that I've been doing, and I figured that this town would be quite the place, the blonde woman told him. I wouldn't exactly call this place quiet from my personal experience this past month, but it's something fairly decent, Issei replied as he dusted herself off. By the way, what's your name, since I forgot to ask? Issei questioned the young woman. My name is Asia Argento, and a pleasure to meet you. Asia introduced herself to the revenant before her. Asia was a young woman in her late teens, having a large almond-shaped emerald-colored eyes, fair skin, long honey blonde hair that went down to her waist that was done up to braids, with her having modest bust that was under a very athletic figure that was hidden under her clothes. But there were some things about her besides her short stature. At 5'2", she had a wide gash of scar that went from her left cheekbone and over to her right eye. With her wearing a dark teal nun's attire with sky blue accents, as well as a stark white vetted hood on her that was pulled down, for she carried her brown heavy looking satchel slung across her right hip, yet Issei could see that underneath the nun's clothing she was wearing a plate mail, meaning that the grill was more than ready for a fight. I'm Issei. Pleasure to meet you, Issei told Asia, who shook his hand. Well, nice to meet you, Issei. Are you okay? Asia asked of him. Yeah, I'm doing just peachy. Why'd you ask? Issei answered back, wondering what's wrong. Because you're bleeding a lot, Asia pointed out to a large blood spot, and Issei, sure. Damn it. I forgot that I had Minotaur's horn still stuck in my gut, Issei thought, as he'd forgotten to broken off the Minotaur's horn as he snapped it off. Mind if I take a look at it? Asia asked, as Issei nodded as she promptly lifted her shirt. You may want to bite down on this, Asia told Issei, handing him an emerald-colored rag. Why would I need that? Oh, hello, Issei spoke as she quickly yanked out the Minotaur's horn. So then why would you mind telling me about how you attacked the Minotaur of all things? Asia asked, as she had a small, emerald-colored corona of light spear around the wound. How do you know about that kind of stuff? Issei asked as he felt his own regeneration quickly speed up. Simple as I'm a cleric and I've been more than my fair share of fights and battles since I now have a fair share of wearing wounds and injuries, Asia told him as her facial scar aged almost. Huh? I've gone up against a few clerics, but none as friendly as you, Issei spoke up as he closed his jacket to hide his large blood splatter on his t-shirt. Well, I'm not like most clerics, and it's a good thing that I got us away from people, since I think it'd be rather hard to explain what I just did, Asia spoke, knowing it'd be hard to explain healing a hole in someone's stomach. Regardless of that, I'd like to thank you for your efforts, as I'd like to take you somewhere to eat, Issei offered with a blunt cleric smile. I'd like that very much, Asia responded with a warm smile. With that in mind, took Asia out to a local Buffalo Wild Wings, to which Issei was surprised that she downed 6 plates of worth of hot wings without feeling a single. Issei got himself 2 racks of ribs and fries. You sure you're gonna be okay, Asia? Issei asked as the cleric wiped her mouth. Yeah, I'm fine, as these things taste wonderful, Asia spoke, wiping her mouth. I'm just asking, you ate 6 plates worth of their hottest wings without flinching, so I just wanted to make sure you're alright, Issei replied as he surprised that she was eating said wings like a champ. I've had far hotter stuff than this, since I've been all over the world for the most part, Asia replied with her wing. Anyway, moving on from that, I'd like to ask you if you got anywhere to stay, Issei asked the young cleric. No, as I've recently arrived here about a few days ago, so I don't have anywhere to stay, because considering that no one would probably want to take me in, there's then the fact that I'm some big trouble due to what I've known and done, Asia spoke, since it was quite a good deal of trouble with the church and the angel faction. What did you do that was so bad to get you in trouble? Issei wondered, as it could be. I'd rather not say, since I'd rather get to know you more before I tell you something like that, not to mention that there's a lot to unpack from my life. So I hope you understand if I a while before telling you anything, Asia told him, since she didn't feel like sharing her past all in one go. I get it. And when and if you're ready, you can come and tell me, since I won't judge you about it at all, Issei told her, getting a smile from her. I appreciate that, since not many would understand my situation and what I've had to do to survive, so I thank you, Asia thanked him. No problem. And by the way, do you got anywhere to stay for a while? Issei asked of the cleric. Not at all, since I've got nowhere to take me in, since like I said earlier, I can't really think of anywhere that would have happened with me with them, Asia stated, since she really literally had nowhere to go. Well, you can come and stay with me, Issei offered the young cleric. Really? Are you sure about that? That wouldn't be too much trouble? Asia wondered, since she'd rather not impose. No, of course not. I'm sure my folks wouldn't mind having another person with us. Besides, I don't have many people in this town I actually like. Besides, you seem like a really fine company, so I'd like you to stay with us, since I'd rather not have you sleep out in the streets, since, contrary to what you may think, it's a dangerous place out here at night, Issei replied, not wanting Asia to have sleep out on the streets at night. Because Issei knew from his past month of fighting stray devils and monsters that it wasn't ideal to sleep on the streets at night, shelter in safety. Therefore, he felt it best if Azia slept and stayed in the company of his home and avoid to constantly fight her life in order to gain a good night's sleep. I appreciate that, and I'll gladly take you up on your offer to stay with you, Azia replied, accepting his offer that made Issei breathe a sigh of relief. I'm glad you did that, since it wouldn't feel right for me if you were out on the streets, Issei spoke, feeling better that Azia was staying with him. You've already gone above and beyond with me by buying me dinner and now letting me stay at your house for refuge. For you truly are a good person, Azia spoke to Issei, feel a bit better about himself at the moment. Thanks, Azia. It's nice to know someone thinks that way about me. Now, let's go home and get you settled in. Issei spoke as he left the stack of bills to pay for the food while Azia got up to accompany him. And we are going to stop right there in like a little bit at the beginning of chapter 4. So thank you guys a lot for thank you guys so much for the support that's been throughout this series as well. But I do want to I just want to start pumping out series because I'm having a lot of fun reading these fan fictions. And whenever I find a new one, I just want to sit there and I want to record it. I want to post it. It's so hard to hold back. Okay. So the one obviously that I want to do the most is Issei the God Slayer is Born, and I'm going to be writing that, and I'm going to do my own story, and I'm not sure, I've never written a story before, so this will be the first time. Well, actually, no, it's my second story. I've wrote a What If Naruto was in High School DxD. I did write one of those, but, okay, this is my first time writing a story, so I don't know if it's going to be that great, but I know a lot more about High School DxD, and I've pretty much mastered the storyline all the way up until season 5, and that's what I know about specifically, and obviously I know about the triexo and things like that. Oops, spoiler. Whoops. Well, anyway, thank you guys all for the support. It's been absolutely amazing. I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I had to, do some things, take some drugs. No, I'm joking. I took Allegra and Advil and Halls. And that's it. That's all I did. So, once again, thanks for all the support. I really do appreciate you, okay? Seriously, What If Issei Was Overpowered will very, very be coming soon, okay? Because that is something I would love to do, along with What If Issei got the boosted gear early? What if Issei found his balance breaker earlier? Either one. Thank you guys so much for the support. We hit 26,000 subscribers so fast. It's crazy. Okay, thank you for all the support. Without further ado, wait, if you guys want to know exactly when I upload, my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. Remember, let's try to hit 800 to 700 likes. Without further ado, Spartanic Arts DxD out.